Welcome to FAMORRA. Don't forget to subscribe for more shocking family drama and jaw-dropping stories.
She called me a nobody and left for a man with a real job. 10 years later, my face filled Times Square, and she was the one asking for coffee. I was 23, broke, and loud with dreams. My desk was a door on 2 crates. My laptop ran hot and hissed like an old kettle. I'd worked all week on a pitch for a tiny sneaker shop. Logo, poster, street campaign. I showed Rachel the mock-ups at our kitchen table. I wanted her to see me the way I saw myself at 2 a.m., on fire. She scrolled, unimpressed. "You're talented," she said, "but talent doesn't pay rent. You'll always be a nobody if you keep chasing childish dreams." The word nobody hit like a slap you don't want to admit hurt. I laughed it off. "Give me a year," I said. "I'll land big clients." She stood, already grabbing her coat. A year is a long time to starve. Evan asked me to dinner. He has a real job. Real plan. I'm tired of waiting for you to become someone. Rachel, she kissed my cheek like a goodbye. "Grow up," she whispered and left. I sat there with my door desk and my door heart. Jake, my roommate, poked his head in. "She gone?" "Yeah. You okay?" "No." He opened 2 instant noodles and slid one toward me. "Eat, then send the pitch. Let strangers judge your work, not the person who's forgetting your name already." I ate. Then I sent the pitch with a hand that wouldn't stop shaking. At 3 a.m., I stared at the ceiling and rehearsed a life where I wasn't small. The ceiling didn't clap. The room smelled like noodles and dust. Somewhere outside, a siren proved the city still had a pulse. I pressed my palms together and said into the dark, "I am not nobody." Pain became my alarm clock. I woke angry and worked until the anger turned into lines, grids, and color codes. I designed cafe menus for $15, flyers for $25, wedding invitations for a cake slice, and a thank you text. At night, I drew billboards that no one bought. Giant faces, simple words, clean space. I pinned them over stains on the wall. In a diner at midnight, I spread sketches across a sticky table. A gruff man with a tie loosened to surrender watched me from the next booth. "Your kerning is a crime," he said. "But your eye is honest." "I'm trying," I said. He slid into my booth without asking. "Hughes, creative director." "I fire people for sport. Why are you drawing giant ads for no one?" "Practice," I said. He smirked. "Most people practice bragging." "You're practicing work." He took a red pen and bled on my pages. White space is courage. Copy should move like a punch, not a paragraph. And stop using 5 fonts just because you know 5 fonts. I followed him like a stray into the week. He let me sit in on pitch rehearsals and ripped me apart with a kindness that wore steel boots. "You've got fire," he said. "Now learn control. Fire without control just burns your own house." I started sleeping 4 hours and wearing the same black hoodie because decisions are expensive. Nina, a junior copywriter at his agency, sharpened my lines and my patience. "You don't need more tricks," she said. "You need one strong choice." Rachel's sentence, "always a nobody," became a metronome. Every time my energy drooped, it clicked me forward. When the sneaker shop actually hired me for a tiny campaign, I stared at the email until the words went soft. Jake whooped, then taped it to the fridge like a report card. "First brick," he said. "Stack it." I stacked bricks. Small ones. Ugly ones. Some fell. Some held. Years taught me to be boring in the right places. Contracts, timelines, backups. Wild in the right places, concepts, color, copy. I said yes to work and no to drama. My mother mailed me a $50 bill every birthday and a note that said, "I believe in who you are becoming." I kept every note in a shoebox labeled Fuel. By 28, I wasn't just freelancing. I had an LLC, a logo, and a room with 3 desks that pretended to be an office. I hired Nina away from Hughes with a salary that made me sweat. We built a team of 5, hungry, kind, stubborn. We lost pitches and learned not to bleed in front of clients. We won small tenders and treated them like championship games. On good months, we celebrated with cheap pizza. On bad months, we celebrated survival. At 30, a global tech company put out an open brief, Times Square Takeover. The kind of project kids draw in sketchbooks hoping a teacher will hang it on a wall. Hughes texted, "Pitch it. And if you win, I'll say I taught you everything." We spent a week in a thunderstorm of ideas. At 4 a.m. on day 6, a line arrived like it had been walking toward me for years. "Look who you become when you keep going." We built a campaign around ordinary people made big. Nurse, teacher, mechanic, coder, shot like portraits you'd hang in a museum. The brand loved it. Then they added a twist. We want you in it too. The creative behind the message facing the city. My throat went dry. Me? Nina smiled. You started this with noodles and a door. Let the city see I didn't sleep for 2 nights. On the train, I studied faces and wondered how many had swallowed someone else's doubt for breakfast. In the mirror at the studio, I practiced a look that said, I became someone and I'm still becoming. The photographer said, hold that. That's the one. When the client approved the final, my inbox confettied. Jake sent a voice message of him screaming. My mother cried on FaceTime and asked if I was eating vegetables. A few, I lied. At the office, we counted down days until the launch like kids marking the wall for height. I walked by the printed billboard proof and touched the corner as if it could feel me back. Launch day tasted like electricity. Times Square was a hive. Tourists, commuters, people selling $3 water for $5, horns confessing their sins. Our client set up a small stage. Cameras waited. My team clustered around me like a nervous flock. Nina squeezed my arm. We built this, she said. No one gifted it. The screens flickered. An ad finished yelling about something no one needed. Then the pixels warmed into our first portrait, the nurse, chin up, eyes steady. The copy snapped, look who you become when you keep going. The crowd murmured. Then came the teacher, the mechanic, the coder. Each one tall as a building. Then me. My face 50 feet high, not airbrushed into a stranger. Just me. Applause rolled like a wave finding shore. For a second, I couldn't hear the city. I heard the part of me that was 23 whispering, we did it, a light tap on my shoulder. I turned, Rachel time bent. She looked older in the gentle way life ages you when it doesn't adore you. The man she left me for was not beside her. Her hands trembled. She stared up at the billboard like it might explain something. You did it, she said, voice small. I was wrong. I'm sorry, she swallowed. Can we talk? The crowd pressed and parted, unaware they were walking through a decade. Nina took one step closer, ready to block. I gave her a tiny shake of the head. What would we talk about? I asked. She blinked hard. I was young, scared. He said, she broke off. You became someone. I always was someone, I said. You just didn't know how to see it yet. She nodded like the sentence fit a lock she'd been carrying. Please, coffee? Closure. A camera flashed. Somewhere a kid pointed at the screen and yelled my name wrong with joy. I looked up at the version of me who had practiced not flinching. He didn't flinch. I could have said yes. I could have told her about the noodles and the cracked wall and the nights when Hughes's pen felt like rain on a wildfire. I could have asked her the old question, why wasn't I enough? And let her answer pour over a wound that had already scarred. Instead, I breathed in hot city air and counted to 5. You don't owe me anything, I said. And I don't owe you a scene. I'm glad you're safe. I hope you find something that isn't built on breaking someone else. Tears gathered. I didn't know who I was, she whispered. I thought success was a person I could date. I almost smiled. Success is a habit you repeat when no one claps. She reached out, fingertips grazing my sleeve. I stepped back the length of a boundary I could finally feel. Rachel, I said, gentle, this isn't your story anymore. You left it. I finished it. And I'm writing the next one. Silence stood between us like a respectful friend. Behind us, the billboard cycled. The crowd cheered for a stranger who wasn't a stranger. Nina came to my side, solid as scaffolding. We have press, she murmured. Rachel glanced at Nina, then at me, then at the sky that had my face in it. I'm happy for you, she said. I believed her enough to nod. Take care, I said. We turned in opposite directions. No music swelled. A bus honked. A vendor shouted about hot dogs. Life continued with the indifference that makes victory real. Hours later, after interviews and photos and a client dinner where I kept my hands from shaking around the glass, I went back alone. Times Square glowed like a cheap crown and a miracle at the same time. My billboard blinked awake every few minutes. The nurse. The teacher. The mechanic. The coder. Me. I stood under the 50-foot version of my face and spoke to the 23-year-old sitting at a door desk while someone told him he was nobody. Thank you for not listening, I said. Thank you for sending the pitch anyway. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Proud of you. Eat something green. A voice memo from Jake. Him sobbing and laughing and swearing to steal the billboard poster when they take it down. A DM from a kid. My girlfriend says my art is a joke. How do I keep going? I typed, find one person who believes in you. Become the second. Then I added, do the work when no one claps. That's the secret door. I turned to leave and almost bumped into Hughes. He stood with a paper cup and a smirk. You still kern like a criminal, he said, eyes shining. But that line, it's a sledgehammer. White space is courage, I said. Now you're learning, he answered. He tilted his chin at the screen. Big world. Keep your head. I will. He tossed his cup, missed, picked it up, and made the shot. That's control, he said, and vanished into the current. I walked to the subway. On the steps, a busker sang off-key about love. A couple argued about fries. A kid showed his mother a sticker he'd found and grinned like he'd won a treasure hunt. The city was itself unbothered by my personal thunderstorm. On the train, I caught my reflection. Tired eyes, soft smile, a man who still had rent to pay on his soul but finally owned the deed. I scrolled up to Rachel's old message, "You'll always be a nobody," and hovered. My thumb shook. Not from pain. From relief. I pressed delete. The phone asked, "Are you sure?" I tapped yes and felt space open inside me like a lit room. When I got home, I pulled the shoebox labeled fuel from the closet and added a new note on top. I belong here because I prepared to belong here. I slid the box back and turned off the light. Outside, somewhere above the rooftops, a billboard did its job without needing praise. That was the lesson. Become the kind of person who shines on schedule, who shows up, who keeps going. The city slept. I didn't need to. Not tonight. I lay down and let the quiet hold me like a finished line. Tomorrow, we would pitch again. Tomorrow, someone would say no. Tomorrow, we would work anyway. And if I passed Times Square on my way to the office, I knew I'd look up and think, not look who you become, but look who you keep becoming. If you were standing where I stood, with the keys in your hand and their cries outside, what choice would you make?
Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more family drama stories. See you in the next video.